It was supposed to be a quiet evening drive. The sun had dipped low, casting long streaks of amber across the empty highway. A black woman in her 40s, dressed in a crisp navy suit, kept her hands steady on the wheel of her sedan. She had just left a conference in the city, her mind still occupied with cases, rulings, and the endless fight for justice. To anyone watching, she looked like just another commuter heading home after a long day. But beneath that calm exterior was a woman who had spent her life breaking barriers, a woman who held more authority than anyone on that highway could imagine. The flashing red and blue lights came out of nowhere. She checked her speed. She wasn't over the limit. She wasn't swerving. Still, the piercing wail of the siren demanded her attention. Her stomach tightened. Like so many before her, she knew the risk of what came next. She slowed, pulled over, and rolled down the window. Two officers approached, their boots crunching on the gravel shoulder. Their faces were stiff, their eyes already narrowed. "License and registration," one barked, without even a hello. She passed the documents calmly, her hands never leaving sight. The other officer circled the car slowly, shining his flashlight into the back seat, though it was empty. "Where are you headed?" The question came sharp, like an interrogation. "Home," she replied evenly. "Is there a problem, officer?" "Don't get smart with me," he snapped. "Step out of the vehicle." She hesitated. She knew her rights. She also knew that hesitation could be read as defiance, so she opened the door and stepped onto the gravel, heels crunching against the uneven ground. The wind whipped her hair across her face as she looked the officer in the eye, her voice steady. "May I ask why I've been stopped?" The officer smirked. "You fit the description? Suspicious vehicle, dark sedan, black female driver. Matches what we were told." His partner chuckled under his breath. It was clear they weren't here for safety. They were here to flex power. Her pulse quickened, but she didn't flinch. Years in the courtroom had trained her to face hostility with composure. She gave a slow nod. "I see," she said quietly, her voice laced with a calm authority they didn't yet recognize. They patted her down, rougher than necessary, ignoring her protests. Cars sped by on the highway, headlights streaking across the scene, but no one stopped. To them, it was just another traffic stop. To her, it was humiliation dressed as procedure. Inside, though, she was already calculating. She knew something they didn't, something that would change everything. This wasn't just another frightened driver on the side of the road. This was a federal judge with the power to dismantle their entire department. And when the truth came out, these officers would wish they had never seen her car that night. What they thought was control would soon turn to regret, because this wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning of their downfall. The highway was silent except for the occasional roar of passing trucks, but for her, every second dragged like an eternity. The officer holding her license leaned against his cruiser, tapping it against his palm like a toy he owned. His partner stood too close, his flashlight still pointed at her face, though the headlights already lit the night. "It's traveling in a suit, late at night? What are you really up to?" one sneered. Her voice remained calm, returning from work, that's all. But her words didn't matter. They weren't listening. They weren't interested in who she was, only in what they assumed she was. Target, a suspect, someone they could intimidate. The taller officer took a step closer, lowering his voice as though he was offering a favor. "Look, lady, we can make this easy. Admit what you're hiding. Drugs? Stolen property? You don't dress like this for nothing?" His tone dripped with mockery. Her jaw tightened. She wanted to shout her title, to snap back that she had spent her life fighting to uphold laws they barely understood. But she knew better. The more silent she stayed, the more they revealed about themselves. And every word they spoke would soon matter. After several tense minutes, one of them smirked and said, "We'll be running you in. It's just to be safe." That was the final straw. She stood taller, shoulders squared, her voice cutting through the night. "Before you make another mistake, I suggest you call your sergeant. Tell him who you have on the side of this road." The smirk faltered, but only slightly. "And who exactly are you?" he mocked, rolling the words with sarcasm. She took one step forward, her eyes unflinching. "I am Judge Vanessa Cole, United States District Court, and you two are seconds away from destroying more than your careers." Silence fell like a hammer. The officers glanced at each other, their confidence draining as the weight of her words sank in. The name alone carried power. District court judge, federal authority, the kind of person who had the power to hold hearings, issue rulings, and dismantle departments that violated civil rights. Still, pride fought against reason. "Anyone can say they're a judge," the shorter officer muttered, but his voice lacked the arrogance from earlier. She didn't flinch. Instead, she pulled a leather wallet from her bag, flipped it open, and revealed the official ID with her seal and credentials. The flashlight beam reflected off the gold emblem. There was no denying it now. Their faces drained of color. One cleared his throat, fumbling for words. The other stepped back quickly, his earlier bravado gone. Judge Cole. This is just routine procedure. We, didn't mean." She cut him off coldly. "Routine? Harassing a woman alone on the highway? Profiling? Laying your hands on me without probable cause? You've not only disgraced yourselves, you've disgraced your entire department." The officers stood frozen, unsure whether to apologize or retreat. But deep down, they both knew. This wasn't ending here on the roadside. This woman would not forget. And when the courtroom lights burned bright, their names would be the ones on trial. Because the real judgment was coming in this time, they wouldn't be holding the power. The air around them grew heavy, almost suffocating. Judge Vanessa Cole's calm presence carried more weight than any badge or flashing lights. She didn't need to raise her voice. The silence alone convicted them. One officer shuffled his feet, trying to salvage some control. "Judge Cole, maybe we could? Let's just call this a misunderstanding." His words wavered, the bravado gone. "A misunderstanding," she said slowly, her voice sharp as glass. "You humiliated me. You assumed guilt without reason. You touched me without consent. You treated me as less than human all, while wearing the uniform meant to protect." Her words sliced deeper than any courtroom rebuke. The younger officer's hand twitched toward his holster, not out of threat, but out of nervous habit. For the first time, fear had replaced arrogance. Vanessa wasn't done. "Do you know how many complaints cross my desk about officers like you? Do you know how many victims' voices tremble with the same fear you tried to put into me tonight? Well, tonight you picked the wrong woman, because I will not let this go." They exchanged panicked looks. The taller one whispered urgently, "She can shut us down," the other muttered. "We're finished." Vanessa kept her eyes locked on them, letting the weight of their future sink in. Then she pulled out her phone, calmly dialing a number. She turned her back on them, as if they were already irrelevant. "Chief Randall. This is Judge Cole. I've just been unlawfully detained on Highway 47 by 2 of your officers." "Yes, I have their names." "Yes, I'll be filing a formal complaint. And I'll expect your presence in my chambers tomorrow morning." Her voice never rose above steady authority. That was what made it so terrifying. When she hung up, the night seemed even quieter. The officers stood still, their faces pale, their confidence stripped bare. She looked at them one last time. "Your careers don't end tonight," she said firmly. "They end in court, under the weight of the same law you swore to uphold." She slid back into her car, adjusted her suit, and started the engine. The flashing red and blue lights now seemed pitiful compared to the glow of her headlights. As she drove off, leaving them stranded in their own shame, she knew this wasn't just about her. It was about every person pulled over for the color of their skin. Every woman treated with suspicion instead of respect. Every victim whose cries had been ignored. The next morning, the entire police department would learn her name not as a victim, but as a judge ready to hold them accountable. And soon, the officers who once thought they held all the power would be standing where they had put her on the defense. Justice wasn't coming someday. It was already here, and her gavel would strike harder than they ever imagined.